Chair, we are live.
Yes. Okay. Well, welcome to the final TRPC meeting of 2021. Here it's December 3rd. Glad to see everybody. We'll call the meeting to order and do so by way of introductions. I'll go down through our list and see who's representing our members today. And we'll start with Bucota. Do we have someone from Bucota today? I know this would have been Alan's last meeting, and I'll see him at noon today for our final mayor's meeting. So I'll convey your best wishes to him as his retirement is looming as well. City of Lacey.
Malcolm Miller, Lacey City Council.
All right. City of Olympia.
Clark Gilman, Olympia City Council.
Where are you this morning, Clark?
I'm on the couch.
You put a couch on the beach?
It's comfortable.
Nice. City of Rainier.
Dennis McVeigh, City of Rainier Council.
Home of the Yelm Rainier Tenino Trail.
Yes.
Speaking of Tenino, City of Tenino. Talk to Cutter about his attendance here. City of Tumwater.
Debbie Sullivan, council member and future mayor-elect.
Thank you for pointing that out. And I'm J.W. Foster, representing the city of Yelm and your chair. Thurston County Commissioner Edwards would usually be here. He sent his apologies. They have a conflicting meeting. Intercity Transit.
Carolyn Cox.
Good morning. Lot Clean Water Alliance.
Cynthia Pratt, also vice chair of TRPC right now.
Excellent. Port of Olympia.
Zita, Port of Olympia. Hi, everyone.
And this would be your last TRPC meeting as well, wouldn't it, Zita?
That's right. Commissioner McGregor and I are both retiring, and there will be 2 new port commissioners.
Wow.
And there's a lot of other changes at the port, a lot of staff turnover. So going to have a new port next year. We'll see how that works out.
Excellent.
Wish them all your best.
Thank you for all your time spent serving our region.
Congratulations to Commissioner-elect Ayal, Boss of the Year at the EDC or Thurston Chamber.
All of the above. Olympia School District.
Hi, Hillary, coming from the Olympia School Board.
Hi, Hillary. North Thurston Public Schools.
Gretchen Maliska.
Tumwater Schools.
Mel Murray, staff.
Confederated Tribes of the Chehalis Reservation. The Nisqually Tribe.
David Isle, Tribal Council.
Heidi
And
Thomas,
also-
Transportation. Oh, sorry.
And
Heidi
also,
Thomas,
David,
Planner.
And also brother of Port-elect Bob Isle.
et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
And who was that other voice I heard? I'm sorry.
Heidi Thomas, Transportation Planner for the
That's
tribe.
right. Morning, Heidi.
Morning.
And our associate members, the Thurston EDC. Lacey Fire District 3.
Hi, Rick Kelling.
Hi, Rick. Puget Sound Regional Council. Timberland Regional Library.
Good morning, Cheryl Haywood.
Sorry, Mark, I just had to get one in there. The Evergreen State College.
Scott Morgan with Evergreen.
That looks like a familiar background, Scott.
Deschutes Falls, yeah. Nice.
Yeah. And Thurston Conservation District. Okay. Mark, would you introduce staff? I hope I didn't miss anybody. My apologies if I did. Mark, would you introduce staff?
I will do so. I will warn you ahead of time because of the agenda item where we're honoring some of our staff's longevity. We've got a lot of TRPC staff here, so get ready. Intercity Transit, we've got Eric Phillips and Freeman Manzanares and Jessica Gould. Thurston County, Matt Unselman is with us. From Lacey, Martin Hoppy. Olympia, Carrie Hornbein. From Tumwater, Mary Heather Ames. And from TRPC, it would have been easier for me to tell you who's not here, but I will instead tell you that I'm here, Mark Daly, Executive Director, Berlina Lucas, Katrina Van Every, Dave Reed, Michael Ambrogi, Amy Hatch-Winnica, Theresa Julius, Vina Tabbitt, Karen Parkhurst, Aaron Grimes, Scott Cardy, Veronica Jarvis, and hopefully Clyde Scott will be here shortly if he hasn't jumped in already. So thank you, Chair.
That's great. And thank you for calling out all of those members. Sometimes we forget just how many people we have working for TRPC. It's quite an organization. So with that, we will ask for an approval of today's agenda, please.
So moved. Oh, go ahead, Carolyn.
All right. I move approval of today's agenda.
I second it, Cynthia Pratt.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Then the consent calendar, which is the minutes from the November 5th meeting, the vouchers from November, and the TRPC work program you've had presentations on already.
Move
to
approval
approve.
of the consent calendar.
We'll give that one up
Second.
to Dennis,
Yes, Dennis. Zeta, second.
seconded by Zeta. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good. And there's Alan Carr. Welcome, Alan. All right, we have our consent agenda approved, so we'll go on to our public comment. And I don't believe that we had anybody signed up, and there's nobody in attendance, so we can move past public comment to first order of other business, which is the recognition of staff anniversaries. Mark, do you want me to just do this?
Yeah, if you would like to kick us off, JW, yes, I'll have a couple things to say about these two people as well. But yeah, and Michael, if I could ask you to turn on your camera, that would be awesome. Thank
There he is.
you.
Okay. And did Clyde make it on?
I don't see him yet.
He must be shy.
Berlina and I are in communication with Clyde, trying to get him into the meeting. So if we can start with Michael, I think we'll get Clyde in.
Thanks, Vina.
Well, we routinely recognize employees that have been at the 5-year plus marks. And so as we pointed out, there's quite a few of our members, and it's just nice to see the longevity that some of them have. And we'll start with Michael Ambrogi. Thanks for joining us, Michael. Michael joined TRPC in 2010 as a project employee and quickly demonstrated his value to the agency. He leveraged his abilities in GIS, database development, programming, survey design, and communication skills to be a valuable member on some of our most visible projects, including the Population and Employment Forecast, the Profile, which we'll see here shortly, Buildable Lands, Census Data Analysis, and Online Story Map Development, to name a few. And Michael's work ethic and dedication to the TRPC mission has benefited our agency for over a decade now. We're grateful to call him a member of our team. Michael, thank you so much for your work.
And I just would like to say real quick on behalf of myself and on the staff, and you'll see it later today in the presentation on the profile. Michael is behind so much of the work that we do here. He is an absolute data wizard. His creativity, his positivity, we all love to work with him, which is also why he's so sought after in all of our project work. Been with us a decade. I sure hope we can make it at least another decade. Michael, you are truly a talented individual. Thank you very much for choosing to work with us.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
And yes, round of applause. And Michael, this would be where you sing the TRPC song.
Still haven't learned that one after 10 years.
We're working on it.
Work on that.
Yeah.
Mark, put that on the work plan.
Will do.
I think Clark could help you with that. And I do see that Clyde has joined us. Wonderful. Yep. So let's say some nice things about Clyde. Clyde joined the TRPC team as a transportation modeler in 2016. Prior to accepting a position with our organization, Clyde established himself as one of the preeminent transportation modelers in the Pacific Northwest while working in the private sector. Clyde's involvement in TRPC's modeling program has allowed the agency to develop new state-of-the-art modeling tools to support our members. We've also been able to expand our travel demand model to include Lewis County and Grace Harbor County. He's been the catalyst that has allowed us to have big agency modeling capabilities in a small agency.
And I'd like to pile on to that one as well. In the 5 years since Clyde's been with us, he's really helped bring our modeling to new heights. When we talk about him being preeminent in the Northwest, that's not hyperbole. Clyde's work is known nationally and internationally. I mean, he is a leader in this field, and to have him here in our organization, we are so fortunate. I can't wait for you all to continue to see the power of the model that we've developed here at TRPC and are continuing to develop and hone. And without Clyde's work on that, without Clyde's long history in modeling and being able to tap into others to help us figure out problems when we run into them and such, it's just been such a huge asset. Clyde, thank you very much for continuing to work with us, for working with us for 5 years. And I just am so delighted with the work that our modeling team is doing and has done and will do. So thank you, Clyde.
You're welcome. I owe it all to the crew I work with. So.
And he's humble and modest too, which is not bad.
Truly a model employee.
I appreciate your calling me out on this, I guess.
Thanks, Clyde.
Thanks for joining us, Clyde.
Yep.
Well, and we recognize people at the 5-year incremental marks, but I know from talking with all of you, we so appreciate the work that all of our employees do at TRPC. They help us in so many different ways. So thanks to all of you.
You're welcome.
Very good. Well then, let's move on. John Weinitz has joined us, and Karen, to talk about the new facility that WashDOT's working out of because of their goal to have more people working from remotely.
Thank you. We're really excited today to have John come and talk about this. As you know, we have been working on, as the lead agency for commute trip reduction, we have been working for many years on encouraging folks to use alternative ways of getting to work. And one of those is telework and flexible work schedules. The Secretary of Transportation has been and continues to be aggressive in saying these options for telework and flexible work schedules for our employees are critical to keeping our investment in transportation infrastructure working. That being able to add capacity by managing transportation demand is really important. And so I know that John will be talking about this. I believe Stan will be talking today too, but and I guess I'm going to really show my age now, as if my picture doesn't do that. But it is this is like the office of the future that IBM promised in 1970. And we're starting to get there now, the paperless office, the one where things are really well organized to support work. And so what I know is that while the Olympic region was working on this building, the world changed. And so what it might have looked like prior to COVID and the aggressive moving forward of telework might have been a little different. I think there were some changes in plan, but I'm really excited today to hear about the Department of Transportation and Olympic region talk to us about this office that they have created and the policies that they have put in place. John.
Okay, well, thank you. And Vina, thank you for running the presentation for me. Appreciate that. Has Stan signed in yet, Vina? I don't think so.
I don't see him yet, John.
Okay, so Stan has been leading our telework transformation initiative on behalf of the Secretary's office. And our presentation today is in two main pieces. First, we're going to talk about the telework transformation initiative and our goals. And then I'll transition into talking about our new headquarters facility for the Olympic region. So I'm going to step in. I was a member of the core team for the telework transformation initiative. So I'm going to step in and also play the role of Stan Sukhan this morning. And if Stan joins us, he can jump in. But so, let's go to the first slide, please. Thank you. So there was a tremendous amount of executive support for this initiative. We, along with many other state employees, went to a mandatory telework condition March 12th, 2020, I believe it was. And we immediately went from a situation where we were struggling a little bit to find out and figure out how to implement telework effectively and efficiently to okay, we're doing it now. How do we effectively, make that transition? Our secretary set a goal eventually for 40% of our agency to telework on a regular basis, as in 3 days or more a week. And we have about 6,800 employees, but about 3,000 of those positions are not suitable for telework. They're maintenance employees, they're construction employees, they're rest area attendants and other jobs where they are out in the field. So that it put a different light on how we were going to reach a 40% telework. Next slide, please, Vina. So what we started to focus on, and some of the conversations were around, as we increase our telework, how do we do it in a way that supports a modern work environment? And all of the things you see on this slide not only get, in my mind, to two main points. Number one, we are effective, we are efficient, we are good stewards of the taxpayers' dollars, that we achieve our mission in an effective manner. And number two, how are we poised to be an employer of choice? It's a competitive environment, and there are many ways in which a telework options can make us more of an employer of choice. So let's go to the next slide, please. So as I said earlier, to get that 30 to 40%, we're going to need 3 or even 4 days a week on average. We have recently polled our employees when we get to talk about our headquarters building, our new headquarters building in Lacey. That building is home, as it were, to 190 employees. And we have determined that on any given day, we are likely to have somewhere around 30 or 40 people in the building. It's an incredible transformation, and we're talking about ways to make that most effective use of that space. So next slide, please. So we did quite a few surveys and talking to employees anecdotally through surveys, but over 2/3 of our employees are landing in a space where they're interested in teleworking at least 3 days a week. We're finding that as we go through this this period, and we're talking to our managers and we're looking at productivity, we're finding that productivity is high. There's been very little reduction in productivity, but what we're finding is, and this is, I'm not even sure this is in the slides, this is something I've just been talking to some of our regional leadership about recently. What we're finding is that some of our employees are not developing as quickly as they were in the past. And I don't know if that's that they weren't in a sort of a team setting They don't get to observe their leadership in action as frequently. It's harder to identify and watch role models and take advantage of opportunities for growth and development opportunities. So it's something that we're just now kind of getting a handle on. And it's an interesting conundrum. And so what I challenged our region leadership team is pull this to the forefront of your thinking on when we talk about employee development. Start really thinking about, it's not a matter of how do we get people back in the office so they can resume, they can get back in track with development. It's how do we develop people in the new environment? So it's an interesting question for me. So next slide, please. So these are some, you're going to see next, there's some guiding principles, so to speak, specific policies and practices that align with the principles that we're looking to achieve. We've gotten a little bit of pushback from some of our managers. We're confronting that and we're discussing that. We're not getting nearly as much as I think some organizations had expected, but overall, the reaction is extremely positive. And it's telework is not mandated for employees, nor is return to the office mandated for employees. So we've landed in a space where you are not required to come into the office, nor are you required to stay home. It's an employee's choice. The one exception, as it were, if we are having performance issues with an employee, or there are essentially it would be all centered around performance, then we can require somebody to come into the office for meetings with the manager, or if it's it's proving to be very ineffective for somebody, we can have a conversation about you're not working effectively teleworking, and we need to have you in the office environment till we can work that out. But we just haven't found, just haven't gone there yet. So next, please. So we are developing a new telework manual. It's a work in progress, but there's large pieces of it that we are using and that we have been modifying our existing documents. So, but we really are focusing on performance and results rather than work location. And that's been a huge shift for some of our managers, that it's about getting the work done. It's about an employee saying that report will be done by Wednesday. And whether they're working on it from 8 to 5 or 11 p.m. until 11 a.m. till 8 p.m., however it works, it's the report that was due on Wednesday that's the goal. And there's some people that have struggled with that, quite honestly, but the benefits, as many of you know, to people who are working from home and maybe have small children, wasn't that long ago that we were very specific that if we were going to enter into a telework agreement with you, you could not say that you had a small child to take care of during the day. You had to say you had you were able to focus solely on work for your 8-hour day. It's just not reasonable, nor is it necessary. It's a huge shift, and it's proving to be effective. So next slide, please. So change management, of course, is always a big issue. But our approach is we recognize there's thousands of employees throughout the state involved in the change, and we have hundreds involved in the change management managers who we've been talking with and meeting with and discussing a lot of the things that I've brought up here on how you manage in this new environment. How do you navigate through the uncertainty of it, as well as how do you continue to provide gratitude and how do you continue to provide recognition for employees? One of the things we've been talking a lot about is how do you provide recognition and gratitude to your team members? And maybe it's not somebody that, the traditional is you express your recognition or gratitude to a subordinate, for lack of a better term, for a job well done. One of the things that we encourage is how do you thank a coworker for a job well done? And how do you do that in a telework environment? And how does a manager recognize teams in a telework environment? So then the final slide in this portion of the presentation, these are just some of the many things that we're looking to. Electronic records, for instance. I have not printed a document for work since March 12th of 2020. I don't have access to a printer. Our electronic records policies are becoming more important. There's, as you all know, there's all sorts of requirements for record keeping and records retention, and making sure people are up to speed and managing their electronic files appropriately is a big issue. And then we're dealing with a lot of the same things as many of you are as well, around things like, what about office equipment? What about computers? What about, I don't have a decent chair. Early on teleworking, I was asking one of our employees how she was doing. And she said, oh, I'm fine. I have a sit-stand workstation of it. I'll send you a picture. And she did. It was an ironing board because it goes up and down. I got back to her and I said, that is not a sit-stand workstation. That is not ergonomically acceptable. Let's work on that. And so we did. So there's a lot of things involved. So next slide, please. So this is an aerial view of our new facility in Lacey. One of the first things you'll notice is, look at all that asphalt. There is a lot of asphalt there, and there's a lot of parking stalls as well. A lot of that is due, now this picture was taken early on. Most of these are relatively full now. One of the things is that we do the big, the long building in the foreground. Here is our maintenance facility and our region-wide shops. So the crews that go out and do signal work, repairs, signing, that do traffic control region-wide, our stores, all our vehicle maintenance, they are all in this big building. And that group also does vehicle maintenance for all of our headquarters buildings, our headquarters vehicles. We receive a lot of vehicles. The big trucks you see go around, well, they're full of barrels and whatnot for doing traffic control. We build all those for the state in this facility. So we have a lot of vehicles that use this facility. So it's a relatively small percentage of this is employee parking, and a large percentage is for the vehicle work that we do. Back in the top under the word region, that is our new office building. And I want to talk mostly about that office building here. Finally, to the left of the office building, you can see there's a small stand of trees and a green square. That is our water treatment pond. We capture all of the runoff drainage from our facility, as well as some of the street areas around us that we constructed, and it all goes through a bioswale treatment first, and then goes into that large pond for treatment. And finally, also just above the trees, just above the building, there's another 10-acre parcel there that we own. And it's been, some of it is dedicated for watershed, and some of it is currently it's treed property that we're leaving as is for now. There's no plan for us to build additional facilities right there at this time. So next, please. So this building, there's 189 people that are assigned to work in this building. It's a 2-story building. And as we looked at teleworking and we looked at COVID, we had things to where initially we were designing a building that for 190 people had about 170 cubicles and then some offices. We reduced that to 130. There's 130 workstations and 26 offices. So there are 156 workspaces for 190 employees. That does not count conference rooms. There is more than enough seating for everybody in the building. There are no assigned workstations in this building. If the offices are assigned, but if you work in this building and you're not one of the 26 offices, then there's no assigned workstations. It's all drop-in space. And I'll get to some pictures here in a minute, but I used all of my graphic skills to put some of these colors on this drawing. This is a typical floor plan, and I just want to point out a few things. The green stripe on the right, this is the first floor. To the right of that stripe is our main conference areas. There are 2 large conference rooms, and I'll show those shortly, and a lunchroom that can also be used as a conference room. As you go to the left, the 2 blue little squares, those are secure entry points into the work areas. So the main entrance is down near the bottom on the right. You can come in that door. You can enter the facility. You go by a receptionist. We can have evening meetings in here. We can have public meetings. You can access the conference rooms, and you can access bathrooms and another small conference room. But you cannot enter the workstations. They're controlled by badges. So we can use this facility after hours for public meetings and whatnot. Going to the left, there's a little yellow square. That's an example of one of the small huddle rooms. Some have 1 chair, some have 2. They have plug-in areas for computers, but there are places where if you need a quiet spot, if you want a spot to talk, if you need to make a phone call, there's a number of these around the building. The light blue box is what we call one of the 2 commons areas, and they connect the 2 sides of the building. The main work areas, you can see there's a lot of cubicle type spaces along the top and along the bottom of the drawing. And those areas are connected by that commons area, and I'll show that in a minute. We also have a fitness room with some donated equipment in that light green box on the left. And we have a wellness room on the top, on the second floor, which nursing moms can use, or people, if you need a break, a quiet spot, there's a refrigerator, a sink, there's an easy chair, it's often a quiet corner. So let's go to the next slide, please. So this is what I wanted to show here is, as I said, there are no assigned spaces. Everybody who's assigned to this building now has a laptop. Those laptops all have a common, they're all Dell laptops. And so all of our workstations have docking stations with them. So everybody has a laptop. So if you're teleworking at home, you use your laptop. If you come into work in the building, you bring that same laptop. The picture on the left, that is some of the lockers we have. Everybody in the building has been assigned a locker, and everybody has also been assigned a pedestal, and they're shown on the right. Those little pedestals on wheels, they pull out, they live in those little storage areas, but everybody is also assigned one of those. It contains a keyboard and a mouse that is compatible to your Dell computer. So there's no question about, do I have to use somebody's dirty old keyboard when I come in to use a workstation? You have your own laptop, you have a way to dock it. We have some workstations with dual monitors, some with signal, and you have a pedestal that contains a keyboard, and you can keep other things that you need in there for daily work. So next slide, please. I'm just going to talk about some of the work areas now. This is a picture of a work area. There are very few filing cabinets. That's a picture there of a filing cabinet. Everything is designed to do as much double duty as we can. You can stand around that and talk. There are files underneath. There is that sort of a high top table on the left where you can sit as a group and chat. There's 2 of the rolling whiteboards we have around the facility over there as well. You can pull that over by one of the conversation areas and use it. And some of the cubicles you can see in the background. Every cubicle, as I said, either has a single or dual monitor. They all have docking stations that are compatible with our laptops, and they all have adjustable work surfaces. They are all sit-stand work surfaces. So you can sit there, you can stand there, you can vary that during the day. So next, please. This is a picture of one of those 2 commons areas I talked about that connect the 2 sides of the building. Down the left-hand side, you can see there's a coffee maker, there's a sink, there's a refrigerator, there's a couple of microwaves. On the other side, there is a printer, there is office supplies. There's no more, every office has their own set of supplies. The first floor has an office supply center, as does the second. And there's a recycle center here as well. And then there's these booths that you can sit and talk, you can work, you can eat your lunch. There is no eating in the work areas at the workstations that I was showing. If you want to eat or eat your lunch, we have a lot of places you can do that. We're trying to avoid people taking microwave food into the work areas, greasy fingerprints, any number of things. And so we've provided a lot of options where you can eat, this being just one of them, as well as a place that you can sit and chat. So next, please. This is another example of the workstations. You can see what the two workstations are in the elevated position. There's areas to chat again. So we can go to the next slide. This is up on our second floor. This is what we call the gathering space. This is another area where you can come in and work. You can chat. You can just find it as a place to sit yourself and work. There's a couple of this kind of space around. One of the things I'm encouraging our employees to consider is that when you come into work, you are not only showing that you're mobile because you can work at home, you can pick up your laptop and come to the office. I want you to be mobile in the building. Don't come in first thing in the morning. If your first thing in your day is a meeting, and put all your stuff in a cubicle and then push the chair in and leave it. Come in, get what you need, go to your meeting. Maybe after that, you want to just sit down and work on some notes. You can come to one of these places. You can come to go to the commons area, wherever you're comfortable and wherever you can best do your work. And so this is just one of the work areas that we provide. So next slide, please, to continue the theme of multi-purpose. This is our computer training room that we have. This is doubles as our emergency operations center. When we had the big storms here recently, we activated our EOC to manage the work effort. And this is where we ran that effort. So this doubles as our emergency operations center. So next, please. This is one of our small conference rooms. What's not shown in here is the owls that we have. I didn't know what they were until recently. An owl is it's a device you put in the middle of the table. It looks like a great big pine cone in my view. And it has cameras around the top and speakers, and it scans the room. It serves as for the remote meeting source. It can tie into that big monitor so we can do hybrid meetings. It detects who's speaking and turns that camera on. If you're having a general conversation, it can show the whole room. It's great technology. The other thing is that all of our offices, from mine through everybody else's, are all the same size as one of these small conference rooms. So all the small conference rooms and all the offices are the same size, so they're interchangeable. If one day we don't need offices, we can have more conference rooms. If we need a couple more offices and not as many conference rooms, we can switch them. So it's very flexible site. Next, please. This is one of this is our two of our main floor conference rooms for our conference center with the partitions. You can see this partition is open. It can be closed, and we have relatively state-of-the-art system in here. On the left side, you can see these little panels here. By the door, for instance, those are touch panels that you use to activate the system. You can set it up so that each room is independent. You can tell it that it's one big conference room and it will react accordingly. There are cameras that identify who's speaking on top of the monitors. It's really it's a great system, and it works really well. So next, please. This is the third of the conference rooms in a row. This is one side of it. Out through the windows, you can see we have an outdoor seating area. We can use that for different things. If on those wonderful days when it's so nice here, you can go outside, you can meet outside. This next slide, please. This is the other sort of view of that same room we were just looking at. It's also our lunchroom. And so it can be, the conference space can expand to include this space. This can also be closed off and act as a lunchroom. And so, as I said, we've provided a number of options for our employees for taking breaks, or you could have meetings in here. There's a lot of different ways you could use it. And it also can be tied into that larger system. So all three rooms can act as one large conference room electronically. And then my final slide, I think, and I'm trying to get through this and be conscious of time, so I'm going kind of quickly, but This looks out towards that large parking lot that you were looking at earlier. This is our employee entrance to the building. There's a vestibule area. You can see we have a couple of bicycles parked there. We bought those bikes for our employees. They can check them out. We have helmets and bicycles. They can check those out. We are also just outside the store. The shelter is not finished, but we have covered bicycle parking for about 10 or 12 bikes here. We have covered bicycle parking out at our shop area. We actually got a policy change through the department. We had a policy in the department that would not have allowed us to put e-bike charging stations in here. We got that changed. And I understand it. It was based around we don't provide personal benefits to employees at work. In other words, we're not going to pay for you to charge your bike. We have electric car charging stations because we have electric cars for work. But we argued that this is a commute trip reduction issue and that we should be encouraging that. And the policymakers agreed. And so we will have drop-down charging in this area, and then we will have e-bike charging stations in the covered bike parking. So we're promoting whether you ride to work or you use bicycles that we can loan you to go out at lunch or whatever. We're also we've also laid out some walking routes around the complex in the neighborhood, that a little map you can pick up, and it says if you walk on this route, you're going to go a mile. If you walk this, you're going to go 2. If you're going to walk this, and so on. So we're trying to promote walking, biking. We have rideshare programs, and so there's a lot of things going on. So I have one last thing I just want to share with you. I hope we still have time. This is a short video we made to promote the new facility and to share with everybody from legislators and others to say thank you. So we are starting to distribute this, and Vina, if you could run that, that would be great. It's only 8 minutes long.
At the Washington State Department of Transportation Olympic Region, we keep the state moving. We're moving as well into the future. The new Olympic Region Maintenance and Administration Facility in Lacey is serving those who serve Washington. Sustainable multimodal transportation is a core value at WashDOT, and that core value is reflected in our new home. It's an investment for operations, and WashDOT employees who serve. A modern work environment for today's needs, designed to attract new talent to agency service, reduce the environmental impact, and support health and wellness. Built to reflect the changing expectations of the work environment, giving employees multiple choices of where to work, collaborate, meet, or recharge. Amenities for infants at work, inclusive bathrooms, loaner bicycles and bicycle parking, outdoor gathering spaces, a LEED rating for energy efficiency, a modernized shop building for the materials testing lab, radio shop, and signals, custom lockers to help store and protect gear, a vehicle maintenance building that's designed to meet the needs of today's fleet and beyond. TEF experts have the tools to get the job done with heavy-duty repair bays, break rooms that double as meeting spaces, a backup generator to keep everything powered, creating efficiencies so we can get the job done. The new Olympic Region Maintenance and Administration Facility, built to serve those who serve Washington.
Okay, well, thank you for the time, and if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Malcolm from Lacey. 31st, is it going to officially open soon, or?
Yeah, it is. I just communicated to Scott Egger the other day that I found that the deeds were hung up at our headquarters, main headquarters real estate office. I've gotten those kicked loose, and you should see the deeds for the city of Lacey next week.
Thank you.
Yep.
Great. Hey, John, this is Clark. Hi.
Clark.
I'm really excited about the huddle rooms. That's been a challenge for me working in an open space, is trying to make a difficult phone call. So that sounds awesome. I'm wondering, you're doing all this adaptation to the telework world. I'm wondering, in putting this infrastructure in, how you considered alternative fuels for those medium duty vehicles, since you're putting something in concrete right now.
Yeah. I think we're moving in alignment with the rest of the state agencies. We're moving towards electric vehicles wherever they're available. I don't think we've made the move. I don't think we're focused so much on the move to some of the other alternative fuels. We certainly are moving to electric sedans. I expect we'll be moving to electric pickups and things like that as we go forward. One of the things that has not been installed yet is we are putting solar panels on the buildings. And so we will be providing a lot of our own electricity up there as well. We use infrared heat. We're not using gas or oil powered heat anywhere. So there are some things there, but I think as an industry, I think the heavy equipment industries are the ones facing the most challenge in moving towards alternative fuels. And we're in that camp.
All right. And if I could just follow up briefly, I'm wondering, as you were putting together the infrastructure, is there a bigger transformer? Is the backup generator size for vehicle charging as well as powering the building?
I don't think that the generator, as a cost savings measure, we renovated the one in Tumwater and hauled it with us. And I don't think it's capable of doing that right now. I would like to think that although the solar system can feed the charging for vehicles. So we do have the ability to make that efficiency.
Thank you, John. That's an inspiring building.
It is. It's awesome.
Mark, you had your hand up for a moment.
Well, then I lowered for time's sake, but I'll ask quickly. Did you consider pervious surfaces for any of the parking lots, or were the big vehicles a barrier to that?
I think it's the big vehicles primarily, Mark, that are the barrier to that. So one of the things we did was the slopes. So for instance, the slopes that go from the facility down to 31st Street, those slopes are all planted and have a media type material on them. And the bottom of that is all filter media, so that the runoff, for instance, although it runs off the pavement, none of it goes directly into the stormwater system. It is all treated on that site before being released to the pond for what amounts to further treatment before it's released to the stormwater system.
Just real quick, if we could back up to the solar panels, are we talking about panels plus batteries, or are we just talking about panels?
I'm not sure, Malcolm, how much battery capability we have, the capacity we have. That's a great question. Not sure.
Mel?
A quick question. What happens to the old site in Tumwater?
We are currently going through a process of doing environmental investigation, and then we will be offering the building, the entire site, up for sale. And I believe that we've been in discussions with the city of Tumwater, and the plan is to meet with the city of Tumwater and I believe the county as far as first right of refusal for purchase of that site. It'll need to be used for the city. For instance, the city of Tumwater wants to buy it. If they say we have a use for it, then they essentially get first right of refusal. That's the plan. That's the path we're headed down.
Okay.
In the meantime, the city's been great about. We have an agreement, for instance, with the city of Tumwater, where Tumwater PD, we've granted the right for Tumwater PD to enter the site without checking with us first as the owner if they see something amiss. I'm pretty concerned about that being a very large, very attractive nuisance. So So I've been in contact with John Doan quite a bit over the last couple of years.
Thank you.
Yeah.
John, thank you so much for coming in. This was a great presentation. We're all probably looking forward to an opportunity to visit the new facility, although there'll be no one there if all goes according to plan. But thank you for the presentation, and may your future travels be smooth.
Thank you, and you as well.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, everybody. And
Okay,
Vina,
folks, we're
Vina,
now
thank you.
going to go into a presentation that we all look forward to every year. This is going to be on the profile. Katrina and Michael, take it from here.
Morning. I'm going to give Katrina a chance to get the presentation going there. Great. So yeah, thank you for having Katrina and I here to unveil the 2021 edition of the profile. So for those of you who are new to the profile, it's a collection of statistics and data for Thurston County and communities within Thurston County. It ranges everything from demographics and population data all the way to environmental education data. So we try to capture the full gamut here. So 2021, this actually marks the 40th year that TRPC is doing the profile. We've been doing it since 1982 continuously. Since 2014, it's been available exclusively online. It used to be a printed document, but now we felt that doing it online is a little bit more accessible to you and to the public. So you can find it either from the TRPC homepage, or you can get to it from trpc.org/the-profile. Top of the page, if you go to the profile homepage, you see the statistical profiles. This is something that we updated a couple of years ago. These are kind of two-page summaries of stats and data for each community. They used to be kind of number heavy, but we've kind of improved them. So they have some more charts and graphics, and we think they're a great resource for you to use. Something that we added this year is we now have a direct link to every topic within the profile. So there's over 70 topics and tables that we collect data on and update on an annual basis. And you can get to those right from the homepage now. Another thing that we added this year is a new chapter. We added a chapter on racial equity. And here you can find data on 7 different topics: population, income, poverty, home ownership rates, household types, educational attainment, and homelessness, broken out by racial or ethnic categories. So it's a great way to kind of understand some of the racial and ethnic inequities and discrepancies that exist within our community. But as always, we know that there's kind of a lot of data here, and it may not always suit your needs. So we encourage you to reach out to us and definitely contact us if you're working on a project and there's something you can't find. It's not just an online document. We also consider Katrina and I to be resources at your disposal. So, but definitely the best way to get to know the profile is not just by going to the website, but exploring some of the data within it. And with that, I can hand it over to Katrina.
Yeah, so, you know, this is 2021. It feels like deja vu. It also feels a little retro. And so we're bringing back an old classic game. So prepare yourselves, because this is Profile Jeopardy. Michael and I are considering going up for Ken Jennings and Mayim Bialik's positions with Jeopardy. So this is going to give us some testing to see how well we do. So some ground rules: we are playing Jeopardy rules. So that means you must answer, if you go to answer the question, it must be in the form of a question. The second thing is we are going to use the raise hand function to function as your buzzer, because a little nice feature in Zoom is that the first person that raises their hand gets bumped to the front of the line, and that makes it easy to tell, just like JW Foster is doing now. So if you are waving to raise your hand, that is not going to work. We are going to look for that digital hand to be raised. And then finally, we're going to take the first 3 people to give a shot at this. So if the first and second person get it wrong and the third person gets it wrong, there are no points. And you are competing against staff. We did run this through with staff a couple weeks ago. And they managed to get $1,600. So let's see what you guys can do. And so with that, these are our categories. First up, higher or lower. The answer will be either what is higher or what is lower. Next up is I've been census. We had the 2020 census. So these facts come from the census results that we have so far. Third is Equity Matters. This category explores those racial inequities in Thurston County. And I do want to just acknowledge that this may make you feel a little uncomfortable, and that's okay, because these are some factors that people in our community deal with and impact them in very real and personal ways. Fourth is Show Me the Money. It's all about the dollars. And then finally, we have Breathe Easy. This category explores information on our region's air quality and environment. And so with that, we are going to get started. And since Chair Foster is the reigning champion, we will give you a first crack at picking the category and dollar amount.
Chair Foster, before you begin, I will just say I was part of the staff group that went through this, not having the answers. These are hard, so don't feel too bad about it.
Okay, well then let's start with Breathe Easy for 100.
All right. So in 2020, average concentrations of this air pollutant were 7.4 micrograms per cubic meter, 38% less than the national standard. JW, you are first up. You're muted.
I'm just going to have to start with carbon dioxide.
I'm sorry, that is incorrect. Remember to answer in the form of a question.
Thank you.
Rick Kelling.
So what is carbon monoxide?
I am sorry, that is also incorrect.
Yes.
Okay, anyone else want to take a crack at this? Cynthia.
What is ozone?
I am sorry, that is closer, but also incorrect. The correct answer is PM 2.5, particulate matter 2.5. So Thurston County meets all air quality criteria set under the Clean Air Act. All right, so JW, the board is back to you.
If that was the easy question in that category, I'm pretty scared. So show me the money for 100.
All right. In 2020, $60,277 was the annual income needed for a family of this size to be self-sufficient. Hillary.
What is 4?
That is the correct answer. So the federal poverty threshold for a family of 4 is just over $20,000, nearly half of what the same family needs to be considered self-sufficient. So the gap between income needed for self-sufficiency in Thurston County and that federal poverty threshold continues to grow. In 2014, the gap was about $5,600 for a one-person household. In 2020, this grew to more than $12,000. And Hillary, you have the board.
Let's go with I've been censused for 100.
All right. It's the community whose population grew the least between 2010 and 2020. Zita.
What is Bucota?
That is correct. So Bucota added 38 residents between 2010 and 2020, an increase of 7%. Meanwhile, the city of Lacey saw the most growth in the, according to the number of people, just over 11,000, while Yelm had the most growth based on percentage increase of population. So they more than doubled their population between 2010 and 2020. All right, Hillary, you have the, oh wait, Zita, you have the board.
Higher or lower for 100?
All right, and to remind you, the answer will be either what is higher or what is lower. So in 2020, Rainier's median home sale price was this compared to Tenino's. Zita.
What is lower?
That is correct. Have you been looking at our PowerPoint beforehand?
I haven't, but you know, we had a house on the market and we looked at the Tenino prices and boy, Tenino's rocking.
Mm-hmm. So for 2020, the median home sale price in Tenino was $370,000, while in Rainier, it was a little over $344,000. With more affordable housing costs, many South County communities are growing, putting pressure on our rural roadways. So the rural mobility study TRPC is working on with Thurston County will help identify ways to address congestion and safety on our most critical rural routes. And the board is back to you, Zita. Oh, you're muted.
Let's do higher or lower for 200.
All right, and again, what is higher or what is lower will be the answer. In 2020, the federal poverty threshold for a 4-person household was $26,246. The average annual wages for a person in the accommodation and food services was this in comparison. And Zita, you already have your hand up.
Gotta say, what is lower?
You are correct again. So average annual wages were about $22,000, $23,000 for people in accommodation and food services. More than 10,000 people have jobs in this industry. So between 2019 and 2020, Thurston County lost more than 1,600 jobs in the sector, one of the hardest hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. And as our region continues to recover from the impacts of the pandemic, our local chambers of commerce, the Thurston EDC, and Experience Olympia and beyond are all working to grow this and other sectors of the economy that have struggled or been impacted to grow them back stronger. Zita, we are back to you.
Higher or lower for 300, please.
All right. In 2017, the value of agriculture products sold in Thurston County was this compared to 2012. Ooh, JW, you beat Zita.
I'm going with higher.
You are correct.
Yes.
So in 2017, the value of ag products sold in Thurston County was 176 million, and that's up from 122 million in 2012, despite a decrease in the number of farms. Southwest Washington Ag Business and Innovation Park, which is a partnership between the City of Tenino, the Port of Olympia, and the Thurston EDC, will continue to build possibilities for our local agriculture community. All right, the board is back to you, JW.
Equity Matters, 100, please.
All right. So it's the difference in home ownership rates for people who are white, non-Hispanic, compared to those who are people of color. Zita.
Sorry, what is 20%?
I'm sorry, that is incorrect. Rick.
So what is 14%?
That is the correct answer. So 68% of white non-Hispanic households own their home compared to 54% for people of color. While home ownership rates have increased for most minorities in Thurston County between 2010 and 2019, householders who are Hispanic or Latino of any race and those who are Native American experienced lower rates of home ownership over the same period of time. So we see that there are differences based on people's race and ethnicity. Rick, the board is back to you.
So Equity Matters for 200, please.
All right. So it's the difference in poverty rates for people of color compared to those who are white, non-Hispanic. Zita.
What is 15%?
Sorry, that is incorrect. David. You're muted.
Sorry, what is 20%?
I'm sorry, that is also incorrect. Rick.
It is 10%.
I am sorry, everyone is incorrect. The answer is actually 5%. So 14% of people of color are below the poverty threshold compared to just 9% for people who are white, non-Hispanic. So between 2010 and 2019, poverty rates for people of color fell nearly 4%. Those who are Native American experienced the greatest improvement. The percent of people in poverty in that race group fell from 31% to 23%. And so the board is back to you, Rick.
So let's close out the category, please, Katrina.
All right. It's the difference in higher education attainment for people of color compared to those who are white, non-Hispanic. Zita.
Well, I'm probably wrong again, but what is 12%?
I'm sorry, that is incorrect. David.
What is 9%?
That is also incorrect. And finally, Hillary.
What is 6%?
That is the correct answer. So 31% of people of color had a bachelor's degree or higher, compared to 37% for those who are white, non-Hispanic. Between 2010 and 2019, people of color with a bachelor's degree increased by 3%. All right, and Hillary, you have control of the board.
Let's do show me the money for 200.
All right, although Olympia brought in the most taxable retail sales in 2020 at $2.4 billion, this Thurston County community had the highest taxable retail sales per capita. Zita.
What is Lacey?
I'm sorry, that is incorrect. Rick.
What is Yelm?
Also incorrect. Cynthia.
What is Tenino?
Also incorrect. The correct answer is actually Tumwater. And I think Debbie might have been getting to that next. So in 2020, Tumwater saw $46,000, almost $47,000 per person in taxable retail sales, compared to $43,000, $44,000 per person in Olympia. So Thurston County saw more than $6.6 billion in taxable retail sales in 2020. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic, 2020 marked the 8th consecutive year of growth for inflation-adjusted taxable retail sales in Thurston County. And I think, was it Rick who had the board, or Z? Remind me, who had the board?
I think it was Hillary.
Hillary, go for it. We're back to you.
I'm going to stick with it. Let's show me the money for 300.
All right, and here is your daily double.
Ooh.
So you can wager up to $300. So on top of the 300 that this is already worth.
Am I picking?
You are picking. Yeah.
I mean, we got to go all in if we're going to beat the staff. So I'm going to bet 300. Rick says yes. All right, Rick, are you ready?
So workers in this, and Hillary, you are the only one that is allowed to answer this question. Workers in this industry had the highest average wages in 2020.
How much time do I have?
10 more seconds. So Zita is done.
I'm going to go with construction.
I am sorry, that is not the correct answer. The correct answer is actually utilities, and that is why this is our daily double. The average wage for people working in utilities was $105,000 in 2020, and about 200 people are employed in that industry. So 2020 marked the 8th consecutive year of growth for inflation-adjusted wages in Thurston County. All right,
team.
The board is back to you, Hillary.
I just don't really feel like I'm doing a very good job, but let's go with breathe easy for 200.
All right. It's the largest source of greenhouse gas emissions in Thurston County. Zita.
What is transportation?
I'm sorry, that is incorrect. JW.
Thank you, Zita, for taking that off the board for me. So I'm going to go with the built environment.
That is the correct answer. So in 2018, emissions from energy used for buildings, so electricity, natural gas, et cetera, those were responsible for 1.8 million metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalents each year, 59% of Thurston County's total emissions. And the board is now yours, JW.
Let's close out the breathe easy category, please.
All right. This land cover, protected by critical area ordinances, accounts for 5.8% of Thurston County's surface area. Zita.
What is wetland?
That is correct.
Oh, very good.
So 40% of Thurston County is forested and 32% has a grassland or agricultural land covers. And Zita, the board is yours.
I guess it's got to be, I've been censused for 200.
All right. It's the community with the greatest proportion of residents identifying as multiracial, meaning they identify as 2 or more races. Zita.
What is Lacey?
Incorrect. Cynthia.
Sorry, I was going to say Yelm, but.
That is the correct answer.
Ah.
14% of Yelm's population identified as multiracial in the 2020 census. So while the Nisqually and Chehalis reservations have the highest percentage of residents identifying as Hispanic, Latino, or a race other than white alone at 79 and 75% respectively, Yelm actually has the greatest percentage of residents identifying as multiracial. All right. And Cynthia, you have the last one. I've been census for 300. It's the number of Thurston County residents in 2020. And we will take 5,000 plus or minus in this instance. Zita.
Oh, go ahead.
I should know this. What's the threshold? What is 295,000?
Zita, you are correct. We're at 294,793 in 2020. So Thurston County added over 42,000 new residents, an increase of 17%. And we grew even faster than the Office of Financial Management estimated. And so with that, we are done with our double Jeopardy. We are done with Jeopardy for today. And that gives you a flavor of some of the information that's available on the profile. And then
Very respectable $1,400, which I'd say is within the margin of error. And the good thing is you don't have to know it all because you can look up all the answers in the profile. So thank you.
Great job, both of you.
Yep, very timely too. That population number was important to us because both the port and the Thurston Commission are looking at going to 5 members based on a population of 300,000. So we're like just one power outage away. Thank you, Hillary. I'll be here.
I knew the particulate matter, but I thought I out-tricked myself.
Those were great questions. And I think we hoped to make Amy Schneider proud, but I don't think we measured up to her success on the real Jeopardy. But we gave it a shot. Thank you very much, Michael and Hillary, for that great presentation. Excuse me, Hillary, Katrina. Thank you, Hillary, for your effort. All right. Folks, this brings us to our break, and somehow we managed to get right back on track. So let's go for our 5 or 6 minute break, if that's okay with everybody. We'll just mute your videos and we'll see you back here at 9:48.
I was so hoping to hear what is the ship of hopes and dreams, and it didn't happen this year. I guess that ship's gone.
Have you been watching the actual Jeopardy?
I'm not familiar with it, to be honest.
Oh, it's like the only television show I really like to watch. And the current reigning champion, is she's on her third week. She's like 7th highest dollar amount in Jeopardy history. And she's just rocking it. It's amazing. She knows everything.
Huh.
She should be a librarian.
I thought you were going to say she should be mayor of Yelm.
I think would be a little slow for her.
Not at the rate it's growing.
My goodness, yeah. I knew the thing about the racial diversity because I had just seen that in the presentation. I cheated a little bit and I went over and looked at the profile. I was trying to scan through it real quickly while we were looking for questions, but they were too fast for me.
I need to read that.
It's
I need to
fascinating.
read that racial diversity report.
Yeah.
I need to read all those reports. Those are good reports.
I think Lacey still is the most diverse. We just didn't have that multiracial
Yeah.
minority thing that we Yelm had.
I like your background, Cynthia.
Thank you. I decided to be more Christmassy for a change, and rather than dripping rain.
Yes.
Clark, are you going to sing us a holiday song?
Am I?
Clark.
Oh,
No, don't worry, Mark.
no.
Unless you have a ukulele too.
Not on me. Not on me.
No, but I am going to invite everybody to come stand a vigil at the Islamic Center from noon to 1.
Well, I can only stay a little while, but I'm going to slide in there and slide out. I have a meeting at 1, but
With you in spirit, Clark.
Okay, it looks like we have most everybody back. I went a little bit long on the break. I wanted to make sure we had lots of folks here. Mark, let's go ahead and take us through the outgoing council member recognition part.
All right. Thank you very much. And I get to run this show today because our chair and vice chair are two of the people that we're thanking today. So I really appreciate to get the opportunity to say thank you to folks all along the way, but especially when people make the decision that to step aside. It's important to make sure that we express how much their service has been valued. And so I'm going to just say a couple of things for each person from kind of the TRPC staff perspective, because you all provide the guidance, you all provide the map for where we're going and what we're doing as a staff. And that is so important to this organization. And so I'm really glad that Mayor Alan Carr was able to join us today, because, and I'll start with him. Mayor Carr is leaving service as mayor of Bucota at the end of this year. And folks, on these meetings, Mayor Carr hasn't been able to participate on these meetings quite as much as Alan Fennell did when he represented Bucota, and yet that does not by any stretch mean that Mayor Carr was not keeping tabs on what we were doing and making sure that we as a region are thinking holistically. And an example of that is for example, in our last call for projects, when we did the rural transportation kind of set aside, and we worked with the communities on where is that funding going to go, Mayor Carr was right there with all of us trying to help us figure out how best to use those funds that the council set aside, and just an excellent partner in helping us all work that out. And I also want to say, I met Mayor Carr early in my tenure here. Just a handful of months after I started, we did the biennial retreat in Bucota. And we did it at the Bucota Community Center. And when Mayor Carr gave me and some staff a tour of that facility as we were booking it, it was really cool to see his excitement as he was telling us about all the different fund sources that they had to pull together to renovate that space, and all the work that went into renovating that space. And for all of you that have been there or were able to join us at that biennial retreat, it is a gorgeous space that is really, really a pride of the region. And Mayor Carr has been just such an excellent leader for Bucota, for the community, for the region. And thank you for joining us this morning, because on behalf of staff, Mayor Carr, we just wanted to say thank you very much. And we have the framed appreciation from TRPC that if we haven't gotten to you all yet, we will be getting to you all. Thank you very much, Mayor Carr. And after each one of these, if anyone wishes to say anything, I'll stop between to each person.
Well, I sure want to say something about Mayor Carr.
You sure?
I've had to abridge it slightly to make sure it was suitable for all audiences, Alan. But the fact that the mayor from the smallest town in Thurston County has been one of the biggest leaders, at least in our mayor group. We get together once a month and talk as mayors. And notably, we're all friends, which I don't know if that's a regionally significant thing. It should be in the profile at some point. But his ideas, his comments, we listen to him like, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but he's the bigger brother to us all when we're having our meetings. He's taken such good care of Bucota. I just want to wish him well.
Thank you. I really appreciate you guys. Like you said, Mark, I was not able to attend these meetings. It's actually a little difficult today too, because I have so much to wrap up. I'm not like bigger cities that have a city manager or an administrator that handles the day-to-day. I have to handle it all. So I really appreciate it. And thank you for the comments on the building. I hope that those that have not seen the building can come by and take a look at it. We spent a lot of time and effort trying to get this facility up and running. As JW knows, with our conversations that we've had, I mean, I've served the community nearly 30 years, nearly 20 years as the mayor of the community, and the remaining of the time on planning commission, council, or some advisory capacity. I really enjoyed my time with Bucota, but I believe that it's time for me to develop a new chapter and move on with my life. But I will definitely miss Thurston County.
Cynthia?
So I wanted to say how much I've enjoyed having to work with Alan as well. He's always brings a interesting perspective and a thoughtful perspective in some of the subcommittees I've been on with him. And yes, that building is gorgeous. I was kind of blown over when I actually saw it, but because it was, I didn't know it existed actually. So that was lovely. And we will miss you, Alan, or I will miss you, even though I'm leaving too.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for making the time to join us this morning, Mayor Carr. Greatly appreciated. All right. Next we have Commissioner Zita is leaving council at the end of the year. And so again, speaking from a staff perspective, Commissioner Zita has been so supportive of the work of TRPC, and also, and very important to me, she's incredibly complimentary and supportive of the quality of our staff, and the effort of our staff and the work of our staff. And we as staff, we appreciate and value that confidence in our work. And it's great to hear when folks believe that you're doing what needs to get done. And Commissioner Zita has let us know that on a lot of different occasions, her confidence in the work that we do. When Zita and the other commissioners brought TRPC into work to help on the outreach efforts for Vision 2050. Great opportunity for us to help in that. And also, again, just a demonstration of Commissioner Zita and the other commissioners' confidence in the work we do, and that the power of working regionally. And so, Zita, I just want to say personally from me, and I know from the staff, thank you for all your support over the years, and we will greatly miss working with you. Thank you. Clark.
Thank you. So Zita has been an amazing colleague, but also an inspiration and a friend for me. And I just want to remember when I was one of my first points was to sit in Zita's office, possible. And each time we'd start to talk about what was possible, she'd draw a little bigger circle and say, well, how about this? How about this? And I'm so grateful for Zita's voice across these years, always asking us to just go a little bit bigger to what might be possible. And I wish you so much happiness and an awesome retirement on the ranch. And I'm proud to call you a friend.
Carolyn. Oh, you're muted, Carolyn.
I agree with everything that's been said so far, Zita. And one thing I will always remember about you as a public servant is that you challenged us to do better. And, I think there's nothing higher that a public servant can do is to challenge your colleagues to do better for the community. So thank you for that.
Hillary.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Zita. I actually had the chance to get to know Zita first when I worked at the Evergreen State College, and she was a faculty member, and we collaborated a lot in the Office of Admissions. And so it was a real delight to get to know Zita as a public servant as well when I ran for school board. And I think the thing that really strikes me is that I'll just echo kind of what Clark said, is like the circle gets bigger and bigger. But one of the things that was really powerful for me, even before I was elected, was that Zita really encouraged me to think about how schools can be better collaborators as a part of the intermunicipal whole. And still, even today, I feel like schools sit on the outside, but I think we move closer to the collaborative circle because of that kind of encouragement. And it certainly has personally motivated me to be more deeply collaborative with my fellow elected officials in ways that I think has already had profound impacts in our community and will continue to bear wonderful fruit. So thank you for that legacy, Zita.
Zita, would you like to say anything to council?
It's working with TRPC has been a high point of my short time in public service. TRPC sets a high bar, and you make it look easy for how to do good work, good governance for the public. And the people here on the council, you've been such a pleasure to work with. I've learned a lot from all of you. Clark, Carolyn, Hillary, and so many of the rest of you, you bring compassion and effectiveness to your work. I wish I could be as effective as you are being. I've tried my best, and I wish the best for Thurston County and the port moving forward. The port's going to need your help. So thank you for your continued service for our community.
Thank you, Commissioner Zita. All right. Next, our current and outgoing Vice Chair, Cynthia Pratt. Cynthia is one of the people that I had the pleasure of knowing before I took this job. I got to work with Cynthia when we were both at Washington Department of Natural Resources, and I got to see Cynthia. Cynthia was always a leader in her state service, and it was really cool to see her just continue to be a leader and just more and more and more in the community long after her state service. And she is one of those people that is just always present. And I don't just mean a body. I mean, she's always listening. She's always attentive. She's always thinking of the critical questions to ask. I don't think I'm not aware of any TRPC subcommittee that Cynthia hasn't served on, and most of them year after year after year. And that kind of commitment to the organization and the work of the organization is absolutely exemplary and something we will greatly miss. I mean, serving on the executive director evaluation committee is fun, but maybe it's not super fun. And I think Cynthia's been on every single one of mine. And I love your commitment to the community, your commitment to the work. It's incredibly inspiring. When I asked staff, one of the things that was talked about, how Cynthia, you have been one of the true leaders on the climate mitigation work, continuing to push for implementation, making connections between the climate mitigation work and transportation and land use, and really being a strong proponent for us working together regionally on these efforts like climate that really beg for that, require that regional approach. And so I just, on behalf of the staff, Cynthia Pratt, thank you so much. You will be greatly missed around here.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to tag into.
Oh, Cynthia got hers.
What?
So hard to see on Zoom.
Oh, look at that. Oh, that's really cool. And I just want to add in that when I became chair, and Mark and I would talk about, well, we need to form a subcommittee for something. We'll need about 3. And well, Cynthia will be on it, of course, and then we'll have to ask if anybody else wants to join her. And then it's not just at TRPC, as Mark indicated. Every place I go in Thurston County, every event that I go to, Cynthia is there. And not just there, but actively engaged in supporting all of the organizations that make our Thurston County community a better place. So I imagine I will still see her at some of those circles. So thank you, Cynthia, for all you've done for me and for us.
Thank you. So may I say something now?
Please.
So I have learned so much from Thurston Regional Planning Council. I mean, there's that. By being on a number of subcommittees, you learn as well and you grow, but also it helps you think broader than just your city, or in this case, lot, which is what I've been on for the last 12 years. And it helps you think about how everything is interconnected and how it can come together if you know a little bit more about each little section of how TRPC works and stuff. And so that's one of the reasons why I volunteered for a number of things, but also those that are on those committees with me have contributed to my learning as well. And it fed back with me being able to relay it back to Lot about what Thurston Regional Planning Council does, how it can help our wastewater treatment system, or water in general. It's been great. And so I'll miss this committee probably more than most of my committees I'm on, simply because you're all just great. So thank you. And I want to say thank you, Sarah, for doing that beautiful plaque. She designed it.
Sarah Selstrom. Yes, thank you. Thanks, Cynthia. All right, and I saved this one for last. I'm glad we're not in person, or I might get choked up.
I'm afraid we're out of time. Mark.
No, I don't think so. Our chair, J.W. Foster, will speak a little bit personally to begin with, because this guy's helped me out from the very beginning. I know his city administrator, Michael Graham, pretty well. And so on my second or third week on the job, I got to go out with JW to Red Wind Casino and get to know him on more of a personal level. And we hit it off from the beginning. And since I've been here, he's been secretary, vice chair, chair. So he's been meeting with me in small groups ever since the beginning. JW, you have been a real mentor for me. I love your approach to leadership. I love your empathy and your compassion. And I also love your conviction. And I've learned a great deal by getting to be the director that serves with you as an officer on TRPC. And in terms of council, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out his very meaningful introduction of the 5-minute break, the reminder to stand up every so often so we don't have blood clots, the reminder to stand up and move about so that we can keep that blood moving throughout and keep the heart strong. Looking out for us in both mind and body, our chair, J.W. Foster. We will greatly miss working with you. The staff, your support, your leadership, it's been felt throughout. I have valued my relationship with you tremendously. I'll miss you. Thank you, JW.
Thank you, Mark.
Cynthia.
So I wanted to, all of those things that Mark said is true, and that's very great. And especially making us get up and move around, because that's something that no one else has done in the past, and it's very hard to sit on Zoom without moving. So, but the one thing I love, JW, is your sense of humor, and you have to kind of every once in a while catch it because it's so quick. But and I really appreciated that you can make a meeting, serious meeting, fun. So that is just wonderful, and I'm sure we'll see each other, but it's nice that you're leading this TRPC for this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Hillary and then Clark.
Thank you. I'm going to say what I was going to say about Cynthia before we move to JW. So what I will say about Cynthia is it took me 1 year to figure out your strategy, Cynthia, before I started volunteering for all the committees too, because I couldn't figure out why you always knew the best questions to ask. And then I was like, oh, she volunteers for all the committees. That's how she knows who to ask what questions. And so I want to thank you for that. That example. I really appreciate it. And I would encourage all of you to join the subcommittees too, because it really is great learning. And then about JW, I want to echo the sentiments of humor and self-care. And also, I think JW, one of the most powerful things you bring to the leadership of this group is the positive presupposition about our whole community. there's no doubt that you are fiercely proud of Yelm, but I think anyone who has the opportunity to sit with you through one of these meetings or a subcommittee meeting knows that you're fiercely proud of our whole region, and you have tremendous hope of our ability to work together to make to realize the community that we all want to live in and lead in. So I thank you for that. And I will also say, if there was anyone who could convince me to move to Yelm, it would be JW. So not now, but maybe someday. Keep at it.
And he's actually tried to get, if I remember correctly.
I want you on my council.
Debbie and then David Isle. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, I went past. Sorry, Clark.
Oh, no worries. First, I want to recognize that I've benefited for the last 2 years from monthly meetings with Cynthia and JW, and really appreciate their willingness to trust the expertise and the wisdom of staff to put, as Hillary was just saying, the regional priorities and regional vision ahead of smaller agendas, and to balance asking really hard questions and also keeping this a meeting and an organization that people want to keep coming back to and showing up at. So there's nobody I would have rather spent the pandemic with meeting virtually. I just, I'm really grateful to have served with both of you. Thanks.
Thanks, Clark.
And this is also a good time to inform council that Clark has agreed to chair the January meeting until we get a new chair in place. So thank you for that, Clark. Okay, now Debbie, then David.
So I want to thank JW for encouraging me to take on this new role. And I just am really sad, though, that that he's not going to be there to mentor me as I go through with the mayors. Both Pete and JW, I think, are great, would be great mentors to be able to ask the questions. But you never know. You may be hearing from me to say, what do you do when this happens? So I just really appreciate it. I appreciate your support. I appreciate that you were able to make, because I was secondary to the TRPC. Tom Oliva was always attending, so I really seldom ever got to an opportunity to attend, but I felt like I could step right in, and JW is very welcoming and makes it easy as a member to integrate into the group quickly. So I really appreciate it. I appreciate your leadership and hope the best for your future endeavors.
Thank you very much.
David.
Yeah, I've been a member just for a short time, I guess 2 years. I've only known these TRPC meetings under JW's rule. And I just, I want to thank you, JW. You've made these meetings really fun, and I think regional planning is great. I really enjoy attending because you run such a good meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I just want to say that none of this is possible without the participation of all you members and of I remember back when I first came on council in 2011, Yelm Council, our senior planner, Grant Beck, and I talked about everything regional, and he kept mentioning this TRPC, and I'm like, this TRPC you keep speaking of, what does that stand for? What's an MPO? And it really started to, I wanted to get involved right away because, as was mentioned, it's not about Yelm or Bucoda or Tumwater or whatever our organization is. It's about what we do together to make our region more successful. And this continued membership at TRPC and the work that you all do is the most important factor that goes into that. So thanks to everybody, particular thanks to the staff who make these meetings possible. The remindograms from Berlina. I love the Berlina Vina team that keeps us on track. The fact that this team of professionals continued their work at such a high level, even though we had to transition into a new building and a new work environment all at the same time. And as far as I could see, didn't miss a beat. So that's been important. And I particularly want to thank Mark for what he's done to continue the work of TRPC. What a great choice it was when we selected Mark for this position. And I want to end on this. I'm going to unblur my screen and point over my shoulder. That's the blanket that was given to me by my friends at Nisqually River Council and the Nisqually Land Trust when I had to step off those boards to more fully dedicate myself to the job of mayor. They chose the theme of river people because they knew that my heart is with the people of our community, past, present, and future. This is what it's all about, and it's been my honor to serve in this capacity. So thank you all very much for that.
Thank you, JW. And with that, I will turn it back to you, Mr. Chair, for a report from our outside committee assignments.
Yes, thank you for catching me up. And that would only be Cynthia at this point because we don't have anybody replacing Doug.
Just so that folks know, though, at the Transportation Policy Board meeting on this coming Wednesday, we will be selecting replacements for Doug on the Puget Sound Regional Council, Doug DeForest, Puget Sound Regional Council Transportation Policy Board, and for Cynthia Pratt on the Puget Sound Regional Council Growth Management Policy Board.
And with that, they did not have a growth management policy board for December, so I have no report. So you're lucky.
Well, it is the end of the year after all, and we all have things to button up and get on to. In fact, if you're interested, I'll wait till a member check-in. But there's things going on in everybody's communities, and I think we have enough time at the end to share that. So thank you, Cynthia. And now, Mark, can you enlighten us?
I can. So I just told you at the TPB meeting, we'll be looking for those reps to Puget Sound Regional Council. We'll also be kicking off the recruitment for our business and community representatives at Transportation Policy Board. For all of those placements, we are going to be holding an open come one, come all, looking for people to serve those business and community rep positions. So if you know some folks that would be good representatives for our Transportation Policy Board that meets the second Wednesday of each month from 7 to 8:30, please let us know. I want to make sure the January council meeting, because of the way holidays fall, I want to make sure people remember it's January 14th rather than that first Friday. So our next meeting is January 14th. And one thing I wanted, and I was going to share my screen. I just wanted to show folks sorry about this. I closed it. All right, I won't show it today because I don't want to hold everyone up. We've got our one pager for our legislative session. So you all approved our ledge priorities in the last meeting, and we've developed that into what is truly a one pager, which is really nice. Thank you all for helping to really kind of tighten up that message. Just as a reminder that our key points this year are the need for the I-5 work. There's a number of 106 million that has been identified for the next steps to take the stretch from Hawks Prairie to Mounts Road, so roughly exit 111 to 116, to take that into the next two phases of project development, which is the design and engineering, what WashDOT and the feds refer to as PE, the preliminary engineering phase, and the right-of-way phase. And the expected cost of those, working with WashDOT to get an estimate, was 106 million. This is replacing those bridges because of the flood risk, the habitat issues. It's expensive. So this work is expensive. And so that's the next ask from our state and or federal partners, is that 106 million to move the next two phases along on I-5. And in that, we also have support for completing the Yelm bypass, completing the 3 roundabouts on 507 outside of Yelm, and continuing the support of transportation demand management actions, particularly like the Capitol Campus actions that help us with the I-5 work. And then the second priority is around broadband, providing funding for broadband service to places currently underserved, and also importantly, providing some funding for coordination of these broadband efforts. The state created these broadband action teams, and yet there isn't funding to kind of support the coordination of that team. And we're finding, as a Thurston Broadband Action Team, there's some work involved in that. And so it's a little bit of a struggle to get that group up and running without any coordination and support for that. So those are our alleged priorities for this coming session, and you'll be hearing a lot more about that as they come into town in January. Thank you.
Sorry, I was mesmerized for just a moment there. Thanks, Mark. So yeah, let's do a little member check-in. What's going on in your community that you'd like to share with your teammates on TRPC? Cynthia.
So for LOT, our executive director, who's been there for quite a while, is now retiring November 30th, 2022. And so the staff recommended that we approve a new executive director. However, what we decided to do, because both Mayor Komet and I are leaving on the board, and so there's going to be two brand new board members for LOT as well, a new focus. So we decided to just recommend the assistant executive director, Matt Kennelly, but leave it up to the new board members for next year to determine whether or not they want to take our recommendation, go out for more applications or whatever. But he's certainly qualified, but we cannot hold the next board into being locked into something that they need to make that decision. So that's a big deal. Mike Strube has been there since, well, I've been on LOT for 12 years, and the whole time I've been on council, and he's been there at least 5, maybe 7 years before that. So he's ready to retire. And he had a hard time coming up with a date, but I insisted he put a date there. But so we've got that in a resolution when he retires. And that's what I mainly about LOT.
Thank you. Debbie?
Sorry, I had to unmute first. One of the things that I wanted to share, the City of Tumwater Council and the Tumwater School Board have been doing monthly meetings to do a 21 racial equity challenge. And this has been an amazing, absolutely amazing process that we're going through. And it is actually all of the videos and the whole challenge that individuals can do themselves or in groups is available on the Tumwater website. And I would say that if you go under our community, and it has a 21-day racial equity challenge, I've shared it with a couple of other groups that didn't have the resources to do something like this on their own, and it's been very helpful. So we've gotten good feedback. It has videos, and it takes one topic for each one of the 21 days. So I just wanted to let you know that resource is available out there, and if your group or organization that you're also connected with might want to use that resource.
Thanks, Debbie. Clark?
Thanks, JW. Olympia is really proud that we've been awarded a Governor's Smart Communities Award for the Transportation Master Plan that Sophie Stimson came and presented to all of us. And what was especially significant to us was that it was awarded under the climate category, that they saw substantial climate benefit from rethinking our transportation network and our priorities moving forward with transportation expenditures. So I'm just excited about that. We're going to have a little virtual shindig at our last meeting of the year on the 14th and receive the award formally. But I just wanted to let you know, since you've been briefed along the way as we've been developing this new master plan document. So
Thanks, Clark. Anyone else have something going on? I'll tell you, if you get a chance, I'll get to you two in just a second, you three. If you get a chance, come on out to Yelm, in that we just restored our water tower, had our ribbon cutting last week, and the lighting system on it is in full blossom now. And it was pretty funny because you didn't even notice the water tower. It's been there for 100 years. And now it's repainted and it has this lighting array on it that suddenly got everybody's attention. It got stuck on red and people were complaining that we were too conservative. So it was actually red for the Tornadoes football team because they went to the playoffs. So then we gave it an equal week of solid blue just to create balance and peace on the prairie. And now it's red and green, and it's quite a light display. It's a beacon of hope and goodwill out here on the prairie. Please come down and take a look at it on your way through Yelm. Cynthia?
Sorry, I just wanted to, Clark reminded me, I just accepted an award for Governor's Award for our ADU program that I actually was the one that received the gift or the award for the staff and our council, but primarily our staff did an excellent job. That is something that is a model for the rest of the other cities and stuff. So I wanted to make sure that got out too.
Thank you. Hillary?
Yeah, thanks for everyone sharing. And I'll just give also, I want to say so much appreciation to Michael and Katrina for the profile. As you all know, the profile is my favorite agenda item of the year. And this year was just super, super awesome. So thank you for that. I mentioned that we had the solar installation that was going in at Olympia High School. We had the ribbon cutting for that. So thank you to those of you who were able to attend. I think we're going to have a dashboard available online eventually. So I'll be sure to send that out so people can kind of see what that looks and feels like as a resource for folks to learn about big solar installations. We also, I forgot to mention at our last meeting that we opened our brand new state-of-the-art Performing Arts Center on the Capitol campus, Capitol High School. It's a truly remarkable and beautiful space. And I just have so much pride for this whole community that that Thurston County and Olympia is a place where the very nicest facilities are reserved for our children to learn. As someone who grew up someplace where that was not the case, in our theater program practiced in the cafeteria on a gross cement stage. I just want to extend so much gratitude to all of you and the folks that you represent and serve about that level of support. And I know that's true in our other school districts as well. So hopefully you'll get the chance to see a performance in that space. It really is a beautiful space. And then finally, I wanted to let you all know that the Olympia School District will have a technology and safety levy on the ballot in February. And one of the things that's really significant about this is that we ran a levy 4 years ago for a one-to-one initiative, which means every student has their own individual computer. And we have seen the impact of our community being willing to make that investment and the outcomes for our children during this pandemic. At that time, we also invested heavily in hotspots. So as we have this conversation about broadband, we were in a position where we actually had extra hotspots to hand out to students when no one else could get them because of the investment of our community and the belief that our community had in funding schools and funding them well. So we're really excited to go out and talk more about the impact of that levy. and what we're doing with this next levy. And one thing that's really exciting about this, and I don't know if I've spoken very much about this before, is that we are trying something totally different. In Olympia, we are adding walking and biking infrastructure safety to that technology and safety levy. And so we have designated just shy of $2 million to invest in safer walking and biking routes to school. And those projects will be informed by Olympia's transportation master plan, in addition to the Safe Streets plan and community-based meetings with all of our campuses. So we're super excited about that investment. We think no one else has done that before, so we don't really know how to do it, but we're trying it, and we are excited to share more about that journey. So keep your eyes peeled for those bits of information about that process.
Thanks, Hillary. Zita?
So I have some good news. You may know that the Oyo Hotel proposal to turn it into housing for vulnerable seniors has a second life, thanks to a great outpouring of community support. We got a letter of support from the mayors and the county commission, and an analysis that showed it's more cost effective to turn the hotel into senior housing than to build a new facility. And I want to appeal to all of you to keep this on your radar, because the new Port Commission is going to need continued community support to make Craig Chance's good idea come true. The port is looking for a new marine terminal director. Our Len Fosher has taken a related job with another agency. And so we have yet another director position that is open. The port approved the Thirst and Climate Mitigation Plan. Port Citizens Advisory Committee provided specific recommendations for us to reduce our carbon emission, including preserving tree canopy. At the same time, the port is proposing to clear about 100 acres of urban forest in Tumwater. I want to thank Tumwater for holding the port to higher standards. The Mayor Komet has offered an improved development agreement, and Tumwater held a public hearing that had a lot of testimony just this Tuesday. That issue is still very active. And so I thank you for your interest, your attention, and your support on those issues.
Thanks, Zita. Dennis?
The city of Rainier just completed construction of a new parking lot located in the center of our downtown business area. It sits right next to the Yelm Rainier Tenino Trail. It serves trail users, shoppers, and rideshare commuters. And we're happy to get people out of the mud holes and potholes. And people are very pleased. So
Makes it a lot easier for me to get my Main Street cookie fix.
there you go.
Thanks, Dennis. Alan?
Well, I just want to let everybody know that Bucota won the event of the year for Thurston County from the Washington Event and Fair, or Washington Fair and Event Association. So we played with the big guys this year. We did win it. This is the first year that the town owned the Bucota Haunted House and the Bucota Spooktacular. It was a very successful year as a new start out. The town grossed over $13,000 in the haunted house this year that goes into the town coffers to help renovate some of our buildings. So I know that when Alan Bonnell was on, he inundated you guys about the haunted house. But I wanted to let you know that Bucota did win the event of the year from the Washington event. And I can't even remember the name. Anyway, So that was very good. Just for us to be nominated was fantastic because we're playing with the big guys, which is Puyallup Fair. I mean, they're all in there. I mean, it's statewide. So I'm very proud that we received that award. So just to let everybody know that we did accomplish that this year.
Great job. And trust me, you kept pace with Alan very well with Mr. Vanel. Yeah.
Well, you have to, you know.
Thanks. Carolyn.
Well, I wanted to share that Intercity Transit Authority gave 15 organizations in Thurston County our van pool vans that have lived their useful lives for IT. Organizations each sent representatives to our meeting Wednesday night, and Clark was part of the meeting, as was Debbie. And I mean, I was practically moved to tears. I mean, when each organization described, what the van meant to their organization, how it would be used. Some are getting another vehicle, have gotten vehicles in the past and talked about how those vehicles were used. And you put together all that collective impact on the community, the good that is happening from it, and see the work of these organizations. It is impressive, really is. So we all have lots to feel really good about in Thurston County, and I'm just so proud that I could be part of that decision to, award these vans. And this was about twice the number that we usually award. So it was a big deal, and I hope you all share my appreciation for all the groups out there and for the staff of Intercity Transit that really stepped up on this.
Yeah, it's a great way to keep those vehicles in use and get greater life out of them. So thanks, IT.
Absolutely. And if that didn't put people in the spirit of giving, I don't know what will. So thanks.
Thank you. Cheryl?
Good morning. So a couple of days ago, we added a new resource that I think you'll all enjoy. It's called Press Reader. It's available at trl.org. This is an online platform where you can access 7,000 world language newspapers and magazines from 120 countries and 60 languages. You can read, you can listen, you can download. You can change the interface into 19 languages and change the content into 19 languages as well. It also has an app, so it's called Press Reader.
Nice.
Amazing. Thank you for that. Okay, I don't see any other hands up, real or virtual. Oh, no, I do. Malcolm?
Yeah, just a couple things real quick. First, we're very happy to have Washington State Department of Transportation in Lacey and the road frontage that they provided for 31st, which is very nice. It'll cut some of the traffic down on Marvin Road. Let's see, Lacey population officially now is 54,780 people, unofficially 57,334 people, with I think another 100 units on the books for one location and a couple annexations that have yet to be completed. Deputy Mayor told you guys about the award that the City of Lacey received for the ADU program, and hopefully other jurisdictions will be rolling that out. The assessed value of Lacey has doubled in the past 10 years. So under the leadership of Scott Spence and our City Finance Director, Troy Wu. I think that's enough. That's it.
Very good. Well, we all have cool stuff happening in our communities. I wish you all a safe, healthy, happy holiday season, unless you have other plans, as Brian Williams would say. So thank you all, staff, for supporting us today, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
By Carolyn. Zita seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thanks, everybody. See you on the river.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
Congratulations on retirement.
Thank you.